When you think of villains, sometimes a trait that comes up in conversation is how toxic the villain can get. We have many different examples of different forms of toxicity within the series itself, a lot of standout players from Magellan to Doflamingo. So I would like to break down some examples and get into who really is the most toxic character in One Piece. First, we have Magellan, a man who is literally toxic in every way. Although he is a good boss to most of his employees, he purposely eats poison just because he is a poison devil fruit user. That being said, he is toxic to himself and his employees because he is constantly sneaking up the place by using a portable shitter. Not only that, but he really takes pleasure in hitting his employees with his morning death breath special. He apparently does the number 2 for nearly 10 hours a day and gets a full 8 hours of sleep, only working for 4 hours a day, and within those 4 hours, he still finds time to execute mouthy prisoners. One saving grace, however, is that he does not take the killing of every prisoner so lightly, and can shear you for killing too many prisoners. And for the most part, he was pretty kind to Boa, maybe a simp nature of his, but that doesn't make him nearly toxic enough for us. Let's quickly shift gears to Boa Hancock. She kicks small dogs, kittens, and seal pups out of her way. She demands nothing but pure subservience to her, and I mean, who wouldn't like getting beat by Boa? Never mind. But she'll basically kill your friend and let you know that you'll forgive her for her insane beauty. That's toxic. At the end of the day, though, she started becoming a nicer person to Luffy, which made her act a little kinder towards her Amazon Lily ladies, and she even helped Luffy into Impel Down and saving Ace at the Battle of Marineford. And speaking of which, at Marineford, she stopped Luffy from getting beat down by Smoker. And, Luffy has been beaten by Smoker twice for anyone who's saying Smoker is mid. Getting ahead of myself. If Boa can change her ways, she can't nearly be that toxic, but she's pretty damn close to the most toxic character we've seen thus far, but there are still worse ones to come. Okay, now let's talk heat. Spitting hot fire like Dylon, shout out to Chappelle's show, we have Akainu, who is so toxic he killed a Marine for being afraid to fight in a war. He is so toxic he single-handedly handled Ace with literally just words. Talking about yo fake daddy is as much of a loser as yo real daddy, he and Whitebeard shared some of the most fire one-liner banter in the series, saying he would like to light the pyre at Whitebeard's funeral. That being said, Akainu was still technically doing a job, and nowadays he just sits around at New Marineford HQ doing paperwork, his mortal enemy. And he also backtalked the Gorosei and didn't want to save face just for Doflamingo, so he sounds like kind of a hero to me. No pause either. For him to be super toxic, we need more from him, and I'd give him 3rd or 4th place. Next up, we have 2 frontrunners, Doflamingo and Blackbeard. For Doflamingo, you'd think everything he did to Dressrosa, destroying a country's infrastructure, taking out the king, implied clapping said king's daughter's cheeks, etc. You get the idea. But, you know what makes Dofi not toxic? He cares so much about his family, weirdly. Not his biological family, he capped them. But his pirate crew, he feels remorse for them. He literally apologized to Virgo. So if he has a little space in his twisted heart, he certainly isn't as toxic as we think he is. Evil and toxic aren't always the same thing, although most of the time, they should be. Now we go to Blackbeard, a man who murdered his own crewmate. He killed his former captain and set off on a journey to hunt devil fruit users around the world of One Piece. One thing about Blackbeard, though, he believes in his dreams and even gave Luffy a pep talk before he realized who Luffy was. For how long he's been a series menace, he actually doesn't have a lot of backstory. So unlike Dofi, who is for sure toxic but a product of his father's somehow stupid decision-making skills, we don't really know Blackbeard. So for toxic characters, Blackbeard is up there, but he isn't the level of toxic that we're looking for. Next up, we have Luffy, surprisingly. And although he isn't as toxic as some of these villains, he can do some pretty toxic things, and although it's relatively harmless, some of his activities include flicking boogers onto people, slapping women. Sorry, Vivi. He steals food from just about anyone sharing the table with him. He ignores plans. He runs headfirst into battle without thinking. He got his crew wiped out in Sabaody, and he fought the guy trying to make him feel better about it. Back in Fishman Island, he eventually would proclaim himself as not a hero, and I can see why. He doesn't share his food. He steals it from you. Speaking of which, Fishman Island, he legit looked at Madame Charlet and all that beautiful mermaid loveliness, and he said, "Do you poop?" And also, remember in Skypiea when Kona said hisso to him? It's their culture to say hisso instead of hello, and Luffy heard that and instantly put on a disgusted face and said, "Stop saying that." I mean, imagine telling a Spanish speaker to stop saying hola, or a DMV bro to stop saying what's good, my guy. Luffy looks at manners and spits on them, and then yeets them out the window. Luffy still saves the day almost every other day, so let's be real, he isn't the one we're looking for here. A wolf in sheep's clothing makes people fall for schemes and swindles them when they least expect it. But what about a wolf who just doesn't give a fuck? We have a textbook example of one in Enies lobby, Jabra, a member of the CP9, a group who at its core serves to be toxic as hell, and moreover a group that serves the purpose of keeping the truth hidden from the general public. This is the perfect place to find a toxic person. And at first you might be thinking, what about Spandam? And my defense to you is to remember that he is toxic, but he is practically chump change and a one-shot loser. And despite this, I can see why you'd want him brought up, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his racist ass at least once here, and that's respect to Tom with gusto. But back to our Wolfman. When the crew was walking up to the rooftop to face off against CP9, Jabra was already in shambles, sup law, at seeing Kaku get his devil fruit power revealed. And at first glance, this scene is easy to miss. It's only one panel in the manga, chapter 398, page 16. He tells Kaku, "Are you mad you ate that weird fruit?" immediately busting out into laughter. Like, imagine going up to square up against some young upstarts, and one of your own members is straight up laughing right at you for your devil fruit. The anime makes the scene more clear, and both the sub and dub voice actors really sell the laughter. But going back to Enies lobby and realizing how toxic it was for Jabra to mess with Kaku during their team up, you might actually be able to blame Kaku's failure on Jabra. Kaku is a genius with the sword, and using his Rankyaku to cut through the entire Tower of Law is an amazing feat. And for all that, Jabra still laughed at him. And when Kaku fell through the ceiling, Jabra immediately cried with laughter. Like, bro, that is beyond toxic. That's your teammate. Imagine any basketball star laughing at Steph Curry before he tries to shoot a three. That's touch me once death level toxicity we're talking here. And this carries further into the fight too, as Usopp tries to get the jump on Kaku and Jabra with sea stone handcuffs and misses. He blames it on Kaku looking funny and even pulls out a joke to make Jabra go back to laughing at Kaku. "I'm cool, I'm square." What a head ass. I mean, hell, even Zoro second guesses himself when he first saw Kaku shift into hybrid human beast form and instantly calls him lame. Zoro even thinks to himself, wow, I couldn't stop myself from saying it. Jabra laughs so hard at Kaku, it's so hard not to laugh with him. It makes me feel a little toxic too, to be honest. Maybe we're all toxic. Maybe the One Piece was how toxic we became along the way. Just kidding. This isn't the only toxic thing Jabra did. For one, he literally challenges Kaku to a fight in the middle of fighting Usopp and Zoro, and then he laid down for a nap mid-fight when confronting Usopp. And then he tricked him and blasted him with a 10-finger pistol. And after that, in the fight with Sanji, he attempts to trick Sanji by telling him that Robin is his little sister. And of course, Sanji doesn't fall for it, but he tried that shit against Sanji, and only a toxic ass would try something that cold-blooded. Jabra embodies toxicity in this story, more so than any other One Piece villain, and I don't want to hear it. Unless you can think of some more toxic villains than Jabra, let me know in the comments below. So that was the most toxic character in One Piece, with Jabra being the most toxic standout. And if you have anyone you think is more comedically toxic than Jabra, let me know in the comments down below. I would say out of everyone in the video, from Magellan, Doflamingo, Blackbeard, Boa Hancock, Akainu, and others, that for sure Jabra really is like just comedically toxic douchebag, and I really wanted to be like the end piece of the video. This was my first video that I wrote with a script behind it, so I really hope that this was something that you all enjoyed. I feel myself sinking in this beanbag chair. But anyways, I really appreciate everything you all do for the channel, the likes, the comments, the subscribes. If you could leave some on the video, I would very much appreciate it. And I just want to say that you all should have a great night. Grab some manga, watch some anime, and find some favorite merch you like. I've been Merch Hunter Ricky, and I really appreciate everything you guys do for the channel. Have a good one.